I'm not sure why, but breaking camp just seemed to take a while this morning. Because I was up at a good hour, but saw a lot of hikers walking by. So later in the day, I'm going to have some pretty long water carries. But at the beginning, I don't. And I don't have any get water and then have to go up a long, steep uphill. I think my longest steep uphill is going to be 1 mile. And then there's a couple that are like a half mile. So I'm pretty excited. Just like 29 miles to Old Station. And should be able to do big miles, even though I might have to do side trips here and there to go see something that's not on trail. That is Boiling Springs Lake. And I think all the boiling springs are down there at the shore. And I wanted to see it, but I don't think they want me to. So, there it is. So Devil's Kitchen sounds interesting, but that's quite a ways off trail. And then Drakespad isn't open this year because a tree fell on a building. I think they had like a general store in that. So the Boiling Springs Lake wasn't as much of a side trip as I thought it was going to be. Go get some water and then I'll have my steep uphill of the day. This is Hot Springs Creek, and the way I understand the water is cold, and it doesn't look real easy to get down to it, does it? Anyway, I'm going to figure out how to get a little bit of water and then get going. Trail goes up over there. Just a little side trip because I've got like a 1 gallon Ziploc bag full of potato, tuna, protein bar wrappers that I need to drop off, and maybe some other stuff to do. Well, wasn't planning on spending much time there, but there was a picnic table in the shade and sat down to drink my water, and that was it. Like 15 minutes went by. Here's my steep 1 mile, gonna do 550 foot of uphill, but it's just 1 mile. I can do this. Pack's light, dropped off the trash, drank my water. There's water in 3 miles, so I figure I can go without it better than carrying it up there. Coming up. Going up that way. It's awfully nice knowing it's only going to be for a mile. Just for a mile. Hopefully I'll have a better shot at this view from higher up. But there's no guarantees. Coming up from that way. And here's just rock. Going up that way. Starting to get in some trees, so a lot of that's mist. I've been trying to keep my lens clean. Or not mist, haze. And I'm coming up from that way. Got to be at least halfway done with the uphill. Getting ready to switch back. I'll be going up over the top into the trees. So, coming from there, did the steep 1 mile, had a little flat, and now I've got like a half mile, quarter mile. It's going to be a little bit steep. I like my chicken extra crispy. not my trees. Thought it was clever. This is Kings Creek. Gonna get some water and see about if I can cross with dry feet. So the map shows the trail crossing quite a ways downstream, but it looks like a lot of people have taken these logs. There's a pretty definite path up there. I don't know, that looks sketchy. Finish my water and I'll make up my mind. Yesterday, instead of my feet drying out, that fine dust got into my shoes and they felt like they were caked in mud all day. So I'm going to do the log. See, that wasn't so bad coming from that way. And then this is listed as a meadow, and I suppose I'm confused as what a meadow is. I mean, it is marshy right here. Going that way. Boardwalk is nice. Several of these bridges got burnt up. So coming up from the creek over there, and I do have some uphill. Next 2 miles I'm going to go up about 380 foot. It's going to be 80 foot in the first mile and about 300 in the mile after that. But then I have about 23 miles of either flat or kind of gentle downhill, so I ought to cruise all the way to Old Station. Well, this isn't on the map, but I've only got 180 foot of uphill left, of elevation gain left, so I'm going to grab some water, go up that way. It's warm. I was just dying with the shirt on. There was no breeze. There's a little breeze now, but the head's going to get burnt. Last little bit got real steep. I think that's the top. And then it's cruising. Coming up from that way. And at the top. Expecting it to be easy from here. It's right at noon. I've only done 9.5 miles, but like I said, gonna be easy going, no problems. Blowdowns, rocks, snow, none of that. So going by and just realized that the lupin here, I think that's lupin. Maybe it's not. The leaves are real silvery. See, that is lupin, not silvery. Putting on some seeds. So, I think it is lupin. Looks like lupin flowers from the same plant. Tired of hearing about lupin yet? I like it. So, I've been noticing stuff. This is Lower Twin Lake, and it is huge. So people have talked about using this as a water source, and I didn't picture it being this big. You can see there's some hikers getting ready to get in it. But I've got a bottle of water from that stream. Gonna find a shady spot, figure out whether I want to get water here or just stretch that bottle for 6 miles. Coming from that way, wasn't much, but there was a little bit of shade, but looks like shade's gonna be hard to come by. So going that way, I'm gonna sit here in the shade, drink half my bottle of water, 5 miles to the next water. So in 2.5 miles, I'll stop and drink the other half. Easy. So far, it looks like the trail ought to be easy. coming from that way. A lot of hikers are complaining about the heat, and it's warm. My thermometer says it's right about 90. I don't know if it's any over that. The thermometer's not very exact. It's been hotter here, but there we go. Sun exposure does make it feel warmer. I've got the shirt back on since obviously I'm not going to have any shade, and I don't want to get burnt because then I just feel hotter. Alright, took a little break, drank the last of my water here underneath the Charlie Brown Christmas tree. 2.5 miles to the next water source, and eventually I'm supposed to get into some live trees, and I'm looking forward to it. Y'all had all this space, and y'all want to grow right here on the trail. All right, starting to get a little bit of shade and seeing where the forest is coming back. But I'm still going that way. Oh, they were just babies. Here's the water source. And it doesn't look very nice coming out of the culvert. I looked on the map and it looks like there are a couple of springs that feed this 0.8 of a mile up that way. It is about 5 till 3. In 5 miles, there's a good place to camp next to Hat Creek. 6 miles, I think the trail goes right to Hat Creek. And I'm thinking that might be a good time to start making camp. I think that'll put me at less than 10 miles to Old Station. Trail's going to go up that way. And right now, got a little bit of cloud cover. I'm going to drink a bunch of water and then carry a little. Well, the creek was right over there. And I drank 2 bottles of water and I'm taking 1. And in about 1.5 miles, it stops with this just very almost flat, you know, little up, little down, and starts going down. About 5 miles to the first spot I thought I might camp. But if I'm feeling really good, maybe I'll keep going. I've got yesterday and today's videos to edit to be ready to hit Old Station tomorrow. This thing was huge. Hiker for scale. Coming from that way. And going around over here. I was talking with another hiker back at the creek about how this area looks like it's 2 different burns. Because there's new growth, but some trees look like they burned on the second pass. Some of it looks like it was new growth that burned at the second. And then a lot of those out there, I think were already dead when the second fire came through. Burned the first time in the first fire. I could be way off. I'm coming from that direction, coming from that way. And I think I'm getting ready to leave the burned area and start nothing but down. Once I get close to town, then it ought to flatten out a little bit, but 4.5 miles to next water source, and that ought to be the Hat Creek place to camp, and that's the last spot before you hit town. So it's 4 o'clock, might get there 6, just make early camp, get to editing videos, and plan to hit town tomorrow and early enough to get biscuits and gravy. thought I was coming out of the burned area. I've been going for a mile or so, looking for a shady spot to sit down and drink that bottle of water I've carried. Going that way. This is a nice change. About 1 mile from the first place I thought I might camp, 2 miles from the place that I've now decided I want to camp. And I've got enough shade that I took off the long sleeve shirt and hat. It feels a lot better. So this was my first thought. Like 1/10 of a mile down that way, there's another road that runs along the creek. And in comments, people have said, car campers backed in all up and down the creek. And yeah, they probably have coolers full of Diet Coke and buckets of chicken. I think I'd rather get 1 more mile in, and maybe a little bit quieter campsite. And I'll be there early enough. Hopefully the water's warm and I can take a dip. It's 5:35. I don't care how early it is. All kinds of spots to pick from, and looks like this is a spot. Water and take a dip, and there we have it. You can see with the Tyvek today, both my ground sheet and my lanai, or as we call them in Texas, my porch. I'm going to go take a dip, and I'm going to want a clean place to be able to lay down and dry off. I'm going to also take all my clothes and give them a real good rinse and hang them up to dry. And important, I'm going to collect water upstream of where I rinse out all that nastiness. So I've got stuff rinsed just to get the worst of the sweat out of it. I do hope to do laundry tomorrow, but like the socks, even the socks I wore today will do better rinsed. And I held them in the water, and I'll show you where I rinsed them at. And whenever I went to wring them out up here, they still look dirty. All right, now let me show you the watering hole. So this is where I rinsed out my laundry, and that is where I'm going to take a dip. It is hard to walk on these slick rocks. It's a little cool, but not too bad. Now to get the phone charged up and get some videos edited. So I've got the phone charged up and told you I heard thunder earlier to the east. Well, been hearing a lot more of it after I got the clothes rinsed out. Clouds are moving overhead, and a lot of them are to the north, and I'm hoping that they're raining on the Shelley fire for the folks of Etna don't have to worry about losing their town and their homes. If it does rain on us, then I don't have high hopes of my clothes getting dry, but that'll be all right. I'm ready to start editing videos. Beautiful day.